When I went to make my graphic memoir, I decided to draw it like the films I've studied as an art form since I was in college in the 60s. My heroes then were the same ones I have now: Bergman, Antonioni, Polanski, Buñuel, and Hitchcock. These were artists who knew how to tell a story visually, directly and simply, without any pointless digital fireworks, and preferably in black and white. Color, they knew, often confuses the issue. In my book, like a filmmaker, I tried to give a series of establishing shots so that we know where we are before any of the characters get introduced. And, like my filmmaker heroes might have, I used the landscape as a reflection of the lives we are about to see lived in it. This is Detroit in 1951, a busy center of industry and, as we all know now, an inferno of repressed social tensions. All disguised back in those days by a blanket of sheltering elm trees, hundreds and thousands of them, giving the city an outward appearance of tranquility, civilization, and calm. Thus, too, my family in their quiet, elm-covered neighborhood seemed peaceful, prosperous, and quite normal on the outside. But on the inside, it was quite a different matter. In the 1960s came the Detroit race riots, and following that, suddenly, block by block, square mile by square mile, all of the elm trees died, exposing the sad urban squalor underneath. Around that same time came a series of events in our household that ripped its roof off and exposed it for what it really was, a veritable mosh pit of family dysfunction. The first event came when I was 14 years old. I awoke from a supposedly harmless operation and found my neck had been slashed open and sewn back up like a bloody boot. A vocal cord was missing. For the next 10 years, I couldn't talk above a whisper, a great boon, as you can imagine, to the social life of an adolescent. Months after the surgery, while sneaking around in a drawer I shouldn't have opened and reading a letter I had no business reading, I found out I had had cancer, that my whole family had expected me to die, and no one had bothered telling me about it. The cancer, as it turned out, had been given to me by my father. Dad, a radiologist, was not a mad scientist experimenting on his child, but simply a doctor doing what he thought was right. As they did in the 1940s and 50s, he gave me massive high-dose radiation, just as doctors did to any child born with breathing difficulties, such as asthma or, in my case, minor sinus problems. Back then, that was therapy. Instead of letting me know the circumstances and apologizing for the mistake, Mom and Dad covered it up. This was only normal behavior in our family. As it turned out, this was not the only skeleton in our family closet. They were packed in there like sardines. And when they all started tumbling out, there was no stopping it.